Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the numbers behind a player whose sheer presence on the pitch practically guaranteed a massive shift in momentum. We're, of course, talking about the legendary Miroslav Klose. Now, if you're a fan of the beautiful game, you absolutely know the name. But today, we're going to completely dissect the pure, unadulterated data that proves just how monumental his career truly was. So get ready, because the numbers we're about to look at are going to reframe everything you thought you knew about consistency on the global stage.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the ultimate goal score. Second, anatomy of 71 goals. Third, conquering the World Cup. Fourth, hat tricks and favorite foes. And finally, the unbeatable Klose charm. Let's get started.
So, to set the stage for our deep dive, I want to pose a provocative question to you right off the bat. When you think of the absolute pinnacle of soccer, the FIFA World Cup, who is the most prolific scorer in its entire history? Your mind might immediately jump to Pele, right? Or maybe Maradona? Or Messi? Well, actually, it's none of them. It requires a highly specific type of player to not just reach the world stage, but to consistently dominate it across multiple eras of the game. And that answer is tied directly to this massive number, 16. Miroslav Klose holds the all-time record with 16 World Cup goals achieved across 24 appearances. I mean, just think about how ridiculously difficult it is just to be selected for a single World Cup squad, let alone 4 of them. And in those precious few matches, literally the highest pressure situations in global sports, Klose found the back of the net 16 times. It's an absolute benchmark of athletic endurance and elite finishing that stands entirely alone. To really wrap our heads around how huge that number is, we have to look at the titans he passed to get there. For years, the Brazilian icon Ronaldo held the World Cup record with 15 goals. Well, Klose surpassed him. On the national front, the legendary German striker Gerd Müller held his country's goal-scoring record for decades with an incredible 68 goals. Klose eclipsed that as well, finishing his career with 71. He didn't just set records, he took them from the very best to ever play the game, cementing his own legacy in the history books for sure. Section 1. The ultimate goal scorer. A sustained campaign. So, Miroslav Klose is Germany's all-time top scorer, racking up those 71 goals over 137 games. And this wasn't some flash in the pan. This was a sustained campaign of excellence, spanning from 2001 all the way to 2014. His journey kicked off with a debut goal against Albania in March 2001 during a World Cup qualifier. From that very first strike to his retirement 13 years later in 2014, he was consistently his nation's most reliable weapon. Averaging more than a goal every 2 games over a 13-year international career, that's a massive testament to his incredible physical conditioning and tactical adaptability. Section 2. Anatomy of 71 goals, where Klose scored. Let's move on and see how this builds. Looking closely at this, his 71 goals act as building blocks across different levels of competition. Yes, he scored 23 in friendlies, but look at the balance in high-stakes matches. 16 in World Cups, 16 in Euro qualifiers, and 13 in World Cup qualifiers. He wasn't just stat padding against weaker teams in exhibitions. More than 2/3 of his international goals came in highly competitive fixtures where his country's tournament hopes were directly on the line. And when we break down the timeline, a really fascinating pattern emerges. His most prolific calendar years were 2006 with 13 goals, 2002 with 12 goals, and 2010 with 10 goals. Notice the common denominator there? They're all World Cup years. Klose possessed this uncanny, almost superhuman ability to peak his physical form and his scoring touch at the exact moment the World Cup rolled around. He racked up double-digit goals precisely when the spotlight was brightest and his country needed him the most. Section 3. Conquering the World Cup, the grandest stage. Following this timeline chronologically is literally like watching a masterclass in sustained greatness. In 2002, he burst onto the scene with 5 goals, taking home the silver shoe. Fast forward 4 years to 2006, and he repeats that magic with another 5 goals, but this time, he wins the golden shoe as the tournament's top scorer. In 2010, he adds 4 more goals, including a stunning 2-goal performance against Argentina right on his milestone 100th cap. And finally, in 2014, he caps it all off with 2 goals to officially break the all-time world record. That's 4 consecutive tournaments with a relentless output of goals in each one. But we've got to pause for a second and talk about exactly how that final record-breaking goal actually happened, because it's straight out of a movie script. Klose's final World Cup goal, the one that secured his spot as the undisputed #1, came during that historic, earth-shattering 7-1 semifinal victory over host Brazil in 2014. The poetic justice here is just unbelievable. He surpassed the record previously held by the Brazilian legend Ronaldo while playing against Brazil in Brazil during one of the most famous matches in the history of the sport. You simply cannot write a better ending to a record chase. Section 4. Hat tricks and favorite foes. Targeting the defense. Now, scoring a hat trick at the international level is incredibly difficult, yet Klose managed it 4 times. He punished Israel, Austria, and Saudi Arabia all in the year 2002 alone, and then did it again against Finland in a crucial 2008 qualifier. But there is a fantastic, super surprising detail from that 2002 World Cup match against Saudi Arabia. Klose's hat trick in that 8-0 demolition consisted entirely of headers. All 3 of them. It completely highlighted his extraordinary aerial ability and lethal positioning in the box, traits that really defined his entire playing style. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is looking at his top opponents. Statistically, Austria takes the #1 spot. He scored 6 times against them over his career. He also tallied 5 goals against both Azerbaijan and Sweden. It just goes to show that whether it was a neighboring rival like Austria or a really resilient squad like Sweden, once Klose figured out a defense, he was ruthlessly efficient at exploiting it, time and time again.
Section 5. The unbeatable Klose charm, the ultimate match winner.
Okay, get ready because this is an absolute mic drop stat. In the 13 years Klose played for the national team, Germany never lost a game in which he scored. Think about that for a second. He wasn't just racking up goals when his team was already coasting up 4-0. His goals were the very catalyst for victory or at the very least, crucial draws. Over 137 caps, spanning 71 goals in over a decade of elite international football. If Miroslav Klose put the ball on the net, Germany simply did not lose. It completely cements his legacy, not merely as a prolific scorer, but as the ultimate, indispensable match winner.
Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder today. We've seen the data, the amazing 4-tournament peak, and those 16 incredible World Cup strikes. With a record built on such unmatched consistency over such a long period of time and 71 undefeated goals, will Miroslav Klose's World Cup legacy ever be broken? It demands a level of physical endurance, tactical brilliance, and clutch performance that we honestly may never see perfectly aligned again. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep analyzing and keep learning.